You've probably seen dozens of anime rankings, but this one is different because I did something almost nobody does. I combined ratings, vote counts, popularity, and stability into one weighted formula. This isn't a random list based on personal taste. This is the final anime ranking of late 2025, using only real data from completed seasons. The result changes everything because we prioritize consistency alongside raw scores. Some massive fan favorites ranked far lower than expected. We are moving past the hype to give you no assumptions, just results. Wait until you see the top of the list. The anime that took first place earned an incredible 9.47, and almost no one will guess it. So if you want honest rankings without the noise, subscribe now and turn on the bell. Let's begin. Opening the ranking is one of the calmest isekai series of the year, The Water Magician. This isn't a story about saving the world, it's about someone who simply wants to live. After dying, Ryu is reincarnated in a fantasy world as a water magician. He wakes up alone in a remote forest. No allies, no plan, just his magic, and a hidden ability, eternal youth. His goal is simple: live slowly, grow stronger, and stay free. But everything changes when he meets a surviving adventurer and steps into civilization for the first time, and it quickly becomes clear his power is far greater than anyone expected. The series stands out for its atmosphere and classic sense of adventure, but lower narrative stakes and slower pacing keep it from climbing higher. That's why it lands at number 25. Final score, 7.61. A relaxing isekai with strong atmosphere and world-building focus, but limited scale and tension prevent it from ranking higher. At number 24, Witch Watch, a series that doesn't try to be epic, it just tries to be genuine. Morihito looks like an ordinary high school student, but he carries the blood of ogres and the inhuman strength that comes with it. His childhood friend Nico returns from magical training with one goal: to make him her familiar. Now they live under the same roof. From cursed accidents to completely chaotic spells, Morihito finds himself protecting Nico, not just from danger, but from her own magic. The series stands out with its humor, character chemistry, and relaxed charm, but lower narrative stakes and its slice-of-life focus place it at number 24. Easy to watch, hard not to enjoy. Final score, 7.70. The Studio Bibori Animation Studios. A charming and funny series with strong character dynamics, but its smaller scale keeps it from reaching higher tiers of the ranking. At number 23, and one of the boldest fantasy revenge stories of the year, may I ask for one final thing? This is the story of a princess who finally stops holding back. Scarlet spent her entire life suppressing her true nature to protect her family's image. She endured humiliation, betrayal, and political manipulation, but when she's publicly accused and her engagement is destroyed, something inside her snaps. She becomes who she was always meant to be. Not a symbol, not a pawn, but the mad dog princess, solving problems the simplest way possible, with her fists. The series blends humor, action, and classic revenge storytelling, but its lighter tone and smaller narrative scale place it at number 23. Stylish, entertaining, and deeply satisfying. Final score, 7.78. Studio Leiden Films. A charismatic revenge fantasy with a unique and memorable protagonist, but lower stakes and a more entertainment-focused tone kept it from ranking higher. At number 22, one of the strangest and most atmospheric anime of the year, Sanda, a world where Christmas no longer exists, and Santa Claus is not a symbol, but a threat. In the future, children have become humanity's most valuable resource. They are protected, monitored, controlled, and the name Santa Claus has faded into forbidden myth. But one student believes he's real and that her classmate, Sanda, may be his descendant. To save her missing friend, she's willing to awaken a power that was never meant to return. Sanda stands out with its unique premise, dark tone, and unmistakable Science Saru visual style, but its smaller narrative scale places it at number 22. Strange, unpredictable, and impossible to ignore. Final score, 7.81. Studio Science Saru, a highly original concept with strong atmosphere and artistic identity, but its niche tone and slower progression kept it from ranking higher. At number 21, a wild last boss appeared, an isekai that flips the classic formula. This time, you're not the hero, you're the final boss. A player awakens inside the body of Lufus, the black-winged tyrant who once conquered the entire world. But 200 years after her defeat, the world is now on the brink of extinction. To survive, she must reunite her legendary followers, the 12 heavenly stars, and uncover why she was brought back in the first place. The series stands out with its powerful main character and strong sense of scale, but familiar tropes and uneven pacing place it at number 21. This isn't the rise of a hero, it's the return of a legend. Final score, 7.95. Studio WAO World. A refreshing twist on the isekai genre with a commanding protagonist and solid world building, but its familiar structure keeps it from climbing higher. At number 20, Fire Force Season 3, and this time, the war doesn't start on the streets. It starts inside the system. After brutal training, Shinra returns to Company 8, but almost immediately their captain is arrested. The Empire has been infiltrated, its leadership now under the influence of the White Clad. Company 8 is declared an enemy of the state. To save their captain and expose the truth, they're forced to stand against the very world they once protected. The season raises the stakes, deepens the central conflict, and delivers the explosive action the series is known for. But uneven pacing and its shorter length place it at number 20. The fire is stronger than ever, but the real battle is only beginning. Final score, 8.08. Studio, David Production. A darker, more plot-focused season that pushes the story forward, but its limited runtime and pacing issues keep it from ranking higher. And we're just getting started. Sharing number 19, Windbreaker Season 2. This is no longer the story of a lone fighter, it's the story of a leader. Sakura isn't an outsider anymore. He's now the first-year captain, and for the first time, he begins to rely on others, but peace doesn't last. A new gang arrives. Heal. They don't just fight, they break people. And to protect what he's found, Sakura must accept one truth. Strength means nothing without trust. The season deepens its characters and emotional core, but its smaller narrative scale places it at number 19. This isn't about winning anymore, it's about not standing alone. Final score, 8.11. Studio, Cloverworks. A strong continuation with meaningful character growth and emotional weight, but its more contained scale keeps it on this place. But it's not alone at this rank. Sharing number 19 is Campfire Cooking in Another World Season 2. Mukuda isn't a hero, he isn't chasing glory, his real power is cooking. His meals attract legendary creatures, a mythical wolf, a magical slime, even a dragon. While others fight for survival, he simply keeps moving forward. The series shines through its atmosphere, humor, and comfort-driven storytelling, but lower narrative stakes place it at number 19. Sometimes the journey matters more than the destination. Final score, 8.11. Studio, Mappa. A warm and highly enjoyable continuation with strong charm and atmosphere, but its relaxed tone limits its overall impact. This is exactly how the formula works. Sometimes two titles reach the same score. Comment which anime you expect to see higher on this list. At number 18, Sakamoto Days, the story of the world's most feared hitman who chose family over violence. There was a time when Sakamoto was unstoppable, a legend, a name every assassin respected. Then he fell in love, retired, and opened a small convenience store. But the past doesn't disappear. A massive bounty is placed on his head, and killers from around the world come for him. The problem is simple, he's still stronger than all of them. With two parts expanding the world and raising the stakes, the combined score places it at number 18. He no longer fights for survival, he fights for his family. Final score, 8.21. Combined average of both parts, Studio, TMS Entertainment. One of the most stylish and charismatic action series of the year, blending humor and combat perfectly, but uneven pacing between parts keeps it from ranking higher. At number 17, Kaiju number 8, Season 2. And from this point on, the competition becomes noticeably tougher. After his identity is exposed, Kafka is transferred to the 1st Division, humanity's most powerful military unit. Here, every soldier is a weapon, and trust has to be earned. When a massive Kaiju assault begins, Kafka finally gets his chance to prove he belongs. But at the critical moment, he loses control, and Kaiju number 9 returns. season expands the scale of the conflict, introduces a higher tier of power, and raises the emotional stakes for Kafka more than ever before. That's what brings it to number 17, and the climb only gets harder from here. Studio Production IG. Final score 8.27. Production IG delivers larger scale battles and a stronger sense of scope, significantly raising the stakes of the story, but uneven pacing between arcs keeps it from climbing higher. At number 16, The Clevetesse. A story where the main character isn't the hero, but the destroyer. Clevetesse is one of the lords of dark beasts, and when humanity tries to kill him, he responds by destroying an entire capital. But instead of wiping humanity out completely, he does the impossible. He saves a newborn child and chooses to raise it, because that child may decide the fate of the world. Traveling alongside a revived human hero, he hides his true identity, while nations prepare for war. The series expands the scale of its world, builds powerful moral tension, and raises the emotional stakes through its unlikely alliance. That's what brings it to number 16. Final score, 8. 32 Studio, Les Deuces. A dark, emotionally driven fantasy with a unique perspective and strong atmosphere, but uneven pacing in the middle of the season keeps it from climbing higher. At number 15, The 100 Girlfriends Who Really Love You Season 2, one of the most chaotic and surprisingly heartfelt romance anime of the year. Rentaro learns he has 100 soulmates, not one, not two, 100, and if he fails to love even one of them, her fate could be sealed. Season 2 expands the scope with new characters, stronger dynamics, and deeper emotional attachment. The series clearly raises its emotional stakes, turning absurd comedy into something unexpectedly sincere. Notably, this is already the second Bibury Animation Studios title in this ranking, and this time, the studio climbs much higher, showing clear progression. Strong audience response, stable ratings, and increased emotional weight push it to number 15. However, by our criteria, its parody-driven structure limits the overall narrative scale. It excels as a comedy, but doesn't aim for the large-scale conflict that usually drives higher placements. Final score, 8.38, Studio Bibury Animation. Studios shows clear growth in stability and execution. The sequel raises emotional stakes successfully, but its parody-focused narrative limits its overall scale in the final ranking. If you've already seen one of your favorite anime here, check the link in the description. I've collected anime merch from shows in this ranking. You can see a few examples on screen now. At number 14, The Summer Hikaru Died. One of the most disturbing and emotionally intense anime of the year. Hikaru disappears in the mountains and comes back a week later, alive, unharmed, but no longer himself. Yoshiki quickly realizes the truth. Something else is living inside his best friend's body. Something is trying to act human, something that could kill him at any moment. Instead of large-scale battles, the series builds tension through atmosphere. Slow, quiet, and deeply personal. Every moment raises the emotional stakes, and every silence feels dangerous. Studio Cygames Pictures focuses on psychological horror, sound design, and emotional realism, pushing the series into the top 15. However, by our formula, its slower pacing and intimate narrative scale prevent it from climbing even higher. This isn't a spectacle, it's a psychological nightmare. Final score, 8.40, Studio Cygames Pictures. Exceptional atmosphere and emotional intensity drive its strong ranking, but slower pacing and a limited narrative scale hold it just outside the top tier. At number 13, Rascal Does Not Dream of Santa Claus, a series that proves the most dangerous battles happen inside the mind. Sakuda finally enters university alongside Mai, and for the first time, life feels normal, but puberty syndrome hasn't disappeared. His friend Uzuki begins losing herself under the pressure of fame, expectations, and fear of being replaced. Once again, Sakuda is pulled into a mystery where psychology and the supernatural collide. This season raises the emotional stakes, pushing the story into a more mature phase, with deeper fears, identity struggles, and real consequences. Studio Cloverworks preserves the series' signature strengths, powerful dialogue, emotional consistency, and high production stability in securing its place at number 13. Final score, 850, Studio Cloverworks. Exceptional consistency and emotional stability drive its ranking. However, its intimate, character-focused narrative limits its overall scale compared to large-scale action titles. In 12th place, Spy X Family Season 3. A series that began as a spy comedy has evolved into one of the most emotionally powerful family stories in anime. Operation Strix continues, and every move could change the future of an entire nation. Lloyd carries on with his mission, Yor with her assignments, and Anya remains the only one who knows the truth. But this time, the stakes become personal. When Anya faces expulsion, Lloyd is forced to confront his past and finally realize this fake family has become real to him. The season significantly expands its scale and raises the emotional stakes, while maintaining its signature balance between comedy and drama. Our combined score, 8.59. Studios, Wit Studio, Cloverworks. The collaboration between Wit Studio and Cloverworks ensures exceptional production consistency, a key factor that secured the series its 12th place ranking. Strong rating stability and meaningful emotional development pushed the season into the upper half of the list, though its partially episodic structure still limits its maximum narrative scale. At number 11, Secrets of the Silent Witch, one of the biggest surprise hits of the year. Monica is the strongest mage of her generation. She can defeat dragons completely alone, yet she's terrified of talking to people. She created her legendary chantless magic not for power, but simply because she was too shy to cast spells out loud. Her quiet life ends when she's given a covert mission: infiltrate an academy and secretly protect the prince. The season gradually expands its scale, evolving from a personal struggle with fear into political intrigue and a real threat to the kingdom. Studio Gokumi. Final score, 8.62. Studio Gokumi focuses heavily on atmosphere and character-driven drama, delivering exceptional rating stability. That production consistency and expanding narrative scale pushed the series to number 11, just one step away from the top 10. We've officially entered the top 10 anime of the year. If you're still here, it means you want to see the real results of our formula, where hype means nothing. From this point on, only elite titles remain, ranked purely by real data from the end of 2025. So now is the perfect moment to subscribe, because we're entering the highest tier. At number 10, My Dress Up Darling Season 2, a romance that evolved from a simple cosplay comedy into one of the most powerful stories about self-acceptance. Gojo continues creating costumes for Marine, but more importantly, he begins changing himself. What was once his greatest insecurity slowly becomes his greatest strength, and Marin can no longer hide her feelings. For the first time, their story stops being just cosplay and becomes real. The season significantly raises emotional stakes, expands character development, and maintains exceptional rating stability across a massive audience. Studio Cloverworks. Final score, 8.65. Cloverworks demonstrated outstanding production consistency and emotional growth. Strong popularity and rating stability secured its top 10 placement. However, its chamber-scale narrative and lack of a global conflict limited its climb into the highest tier. At number 9, Gachiakuta. From this point on, these titles don't just perform well, they redefine modern shonen. Rudo lives in a world where the rich throw everything away, including people. After his adoptive father is murdered, he's falsely accused and thrown into the pit, a place no one survives. But instead of dying, he discovers another world, a world of trash, monsters, and warriors who turn discarded objects into weapons. The season dramatically expands its narrative scale, evolving from personal revenge into survival within an entirely new world. Studio Bones Film delivers one of the strongest action productions of the year, with exceptional popularity and rating stability. Final score, 8.68. Studio Bones Film. Strong narrative expansion, massive audience engagement, and striking visual identity pushed it into the top 10. Slight pacing inconsistencies early on prevented an even higher placement. At number 8, Call of the Night Season 2, a series that turns the night into its own world, beautiful, dangerous, and deeply lonely. Ko still wants to become a vampire, but there's only one condition: he has to truly fall in love. His nightly encounters with Nazuna are no longer just an escape. With a vampire hunter closing in and secrets of the past emerging, every night now carries real risk. Season 2 significantly expands its narrative scale, evolving from atmospheric romance into a real conflict between humans and vampires. Studio Leiden Films. Final score, 8.73. Studio Leiden Films maintains its signature visual identity and strong production consistency. Expanded narrative scale and rising emotional stakes secured its top 10 placement, though slower atmospheric pacing limited an even higher rank. At number 7, Dr. Stone, Science Future. This is where the story stops being about survival and becomes about humanity's future. Senku and the Kingdom of Science are no longer rebuilding civilization. They're preparing to reach the moon, but to uncover the origin of petrification. But first, they must gather resources across the entire world. America, the Amazon River, new cities, new allies, and enemies whose science rivals their own. Both parts of the season massively expand the narrative scale, transforming the story into a global scientific expedition. Studio TMS Entertainment maintains strong production consistency, and the combined performance of both cores confirms exceptional audience stability. Final score, 8.89. Studio TMS Entertainment. The combined rating of both parts reflects strong stability, massive narrative expansion, and high audience engagement. Its global scale and progression secure its place deep within the elite tier. At number 6, Grand Blue Dreaming Season 2. And this is clear proof that even pure comedy can reach the elite tier of this ranking. Ayori continues his life with the diving club, or more accurately, trapped in a chaotic cycle of diving, oceans of alcohol, and absolute insanity. His sister tries to pull him back to a normal life, but the truth is simple: Grand Blue has already become his real home. Season 2 doesn't just repeat the formulas, it strengthens it. The comedy is sharper, the characters feel closer, and every episode shows an exceptional ability to hold audience attention. Final score, 8.95. Studios, 0G Liber. Despite its light genre, the series demonstrates exceptional rating stability and one of the strongest fan support levels of 2025. However, under our formula, its comedy-focused structure and limited narrative scale prevent it from breaking into the top 5. Even with its extremely high score. We've entered the final 5. From this point on, these are the anime that define 2025. At number 5, Season 2, a series that evolved from a bizarre supernatural story into one of the strongest modern shonen. Momo, Okarun, and Gigi are pulled into a cursed town where every legend is real: abductions, curses, and enemies waiting in the shadows. The season dramatically raises emotional stakes and expands its narrative scale, transforming the story into a true survival conflict. Studio Science Saru delivers one of the most distinctive visual productions of the year. Fast, chaotic, and instantly recognizable. Final score, 8.99. Studio Science Saru. Massive popularity, exceptional rating stability, and expanding narrative scale push the series into the top 5. This isn't just a hit, it's a flagship of modern battle shounen. At number 4, The Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity, one of the most emotional breakout hits of 2025. Rintaro looks like a delinquent. People avoid him without ever trying to understand him. But Kaoruko is different. She sees who he truly is, and their meeting begins a story that challenges social boundaries and expectations. Instead of battles, the series builds power through emotion. Each episode raises emotional stakes while expanding its narrative scale beyond a simple school romance. Studio Cloverworks. Final score, 9.06. Studio Cloverworks delivers one of the most stable and successful productions of the year, with massive popularity and exceptional audience response. Outstanding stability, massive audience engagement, and powerful emotional storytelling pushed it near the very top, a rare romance capable of competing with the biggest action franchises. We've reached number 3. At this point, these aren't just great anime, these are legendary finales. At number 3, My Hero Academia final season, the conclusion of one of the defining shounen series of the modern era. Society stands on the brink of collapse. Heroes fall, symbols fade, and for the first time, evil might actually win. Deku steps forward, no longer as a student, but as humanity's final hope. The final season raises emotional stakes to their absolute peak and expands the narrative scale to a global war. Studio Bones Film, final score 9/25. Studio Bones Film delivers a powerful and consistent finale backed by massive audience engagement. Exceptional stability, peak emotional stakes, and massive global engagement cement its place among the elite, a true generational finale. Tell me in the comments, where does My Hero Academia rank for you, and who do you think takes number 1? And now, number 2, which means we're talking about a true global phenomenon. At number 2, Solo Leveling Season 2, the anime that turned one hunter's story into a worldwide event. Sung Jin Woo is no longer the weakest. Now, he's a force that can't be ignored. Every dungeon, every fight pushes him closer to a level the world has never seen. But with greater power comes greater threats, a returning hunter, a looming catastrophe, and the feeling that the real war is only beginning. Season 2 massively expands the narrative scale and raises the emotional stakes to a global level. Studio A1 Pictures final score 9/30. Studio A1 Pictures delivers exceptional production consistency, backed by massive viewership and record-breaking popularity. A dominant season with massive scale, consistent ratings, and overwhelming audience engagement. Solo Leveling firmly establishes itself as a modern anime powerhouse. If Solo Leveling is number 2, what could possibly be number 1? And now, number 1, the anime that even surpassed Solo Leveling. At number 1, The Apothecary Diaries Season 2, a series that proves you don't need massive battles to dominate a ranking. Sometimes intelligence is enough. Mao Mao returns to the Imperial Court, a place where every smile hides secrets, and every cup of tea could be poison. A mysterious merchant caravan brings new conspiracies, pulling her into a conflict that could reshape the empire. Season 2 expands the narrative scale from isolated mysteries to empire-level political intrigue, while raising the emotional stakes through Mao Mao's past and her evolving role in the court. Studio OLM Toho Animation Studio, final score 9.47. Studios OLM and Toho Animation Studio deliver exceptional production consistency, supported by extremely high ratings and massive audience engagement. The most stable and balanced anime season of the year. Exceptional writing, consistent ratings, and strong emotional depth secured its place at number 1. Do you agree with this number 1? Comment your personal top. I read every comment. Subscribe for more data-driven anime rankings, and check the link in the description for anime merch selected for real fans. This was the final ranking of the best anime of late 2025, built on real data, not hype. See you in the next video.